of the cold snap really messes with the storm cast point. But yeah, Storm is all right. I'm not a Storm Spirit player myself, and the couple of people that I've talked to say that Storm Spirit's like okay. The Ag's not really a factor into him being played out, although it was theory crafted that it might be okay.
I mean, maybe this is the game for it. You jump in with a
It's never the game for it. Unless you are fountain camping them and the throne is at half HP. And you want to just be cool in the fountain.
Well, we'll see how they end up
so much armor.
Jeez. And the thing that's interesting about this, do you think it's worth... Oh, then the Elder Titan has been banned out. That's what I was going to talk about there. Maybe a Dazzle at this point to try and help mitigate that, or do you think it's too defensive?
I think I think you switch gears at this point when, like, you have no way to deal with Cold Embrace. If you itemize for minus armor, you still have to deal with Cold Embrace because of these physical damage dealers. So I think you need a third source of damage. Generally, people like Timbersaw versus the Dragon Knight. It's also okay versus the Terrorblade. Because he also has very high armor. They don't have that much magic damage on NewBee. You are very unlikely to get Winter's Curse as a Timbersaw, and you also don't do that much damage to your teammates when you get Winter's Curse. But the only problem is they might have difficulty laning a Timbersaw in this particular game. So I think if they didn't have those two picks, it would be very good versus those. Aside from that,
this was something I tweeted about the other day. It was something I was kind of theory crafting when I was watching those Storm Spirit games, and X marks the spot with Storm Spirit in the mid game, just like that constant go. How good do you think that is, and is this sort of that roaming support that you're talking about to help out in the mid lane?
Yeah, it's decent. We saw how badly they've punished, I think it was DC, or we saw how badly a Dragon Knight was punished with a Kunkka +1, so it can easily be mimicked in this game. I think that it's kind of reminiscent of the Storm Spirit plus Keeper Delight. This used to be a very popular combo a very long time ago, probably like 2009, 10-ish, but it's still similar concept in that you can just feed the Storm Spirit a lot of mana. This way is just X and him TP back. Before it was just TP back and recall, and Chakra is a little bit better, but this way you have a lot more teamfight potential with the Ghost Ship. So I like it.
It feels very innovative, which is a little bit interesting because it's the NewBee draft that's kind of a little bit more close to center, and LGD possibly... I mean, I don't know necessarily say that their revealing strategy's been this, but it's certainly a different look than we've seen before. Now that Ancient Apparition, another pretty good counter. There's, the regen that you got from DK, the Cold Embrace also. Are they sort of lacking Disable at this point, though? Is that something to be concerned about?
LGD?
Or no, LGD, yeah, exactly.
A little bit. I actually expected them to take the Oracle, just because it's something that they picked a fair amount recently, and it does give them a lot of magic damage. It also, like, they have a lot of single target disables with Dragon Knight and Lion, which would help out the Storm Spirit. But with AA, I think it makes their lane a lot stronger. Yeah, they don't have that much disable, but they have a lot of very difficult to hit disables. The Drow Ranger with her Gust, getting multiple heroes is a chore, and then Kunkka with a Ghost Ship is not terribly easy. But Kunkka's X Torn is very reliable, especially if you have Aether Lens. So I think that that's enough to set up for an Ancient Apparition combo. Like NewBees, they don't have a way to get out of the X combo. Cold Embrace is not going to save you from an AA blast into a ship.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess that is a huge amount of teamfight potential they got there, and also the sort of whole dynamic of the Drow Ranger bonus damage just continuing to cause problems there. What about on NewBee's side? Like, it's clear what LGD are trying to do. What are they hoping? Just a big bad Terrorblade late game, or what do you think they're trying to accomplish with it? Is it just more reacting to what LGD is throwing at them?
I think it's just surviving through the cooldown Storm Spirit's initial mana pool, the Kunkka boat, and then the AA blast, and then after you survive like the first 10 seconds of the fight, maybe you get a Sunder off, maybe you get a good Winter's Curse while all their ultimates are flying out, then you will destroy them because you can just get on top of that Drow Ranger at that point. No one really has any more cooldown, so I think NewBee's is far better for the prolonged fights if they can get their second round of disables in. So it's mostly trying to protect the jump target from Storm Spirit, protect the target that gets gone on by Kunkka, and build up that armor.
Well, I'm very excited to see it. We have one last pick coming out from NewBee, as Batrider's already been taken. It's going to be that Beastmaster, so KP probably going to be running it. I was thinking they might have gone for like Tide or something, but I guess just that early rotation in, the hard disable for Storm Spirit. So looking at these two drafts, we're all the way through it now. Is there any team that you're favoring, or is it dependent upon a lot of different stuff going on?
I actually like LGD's draft a little bit more. I think there's like a good mix of damage with the AA and the Batrider, as well as a lot of physical from the Draw Ranger, Storm Spirit. They also have a really good team fight from the Kuka and the Ancient Apparition. I think on NewBee's side, like the Winter Wyvern is especially vulnerable in this because he has to save the target that gets X comboed and keep an eye out on Terror Blade, but he can easily get lassoed and just die. He can also just get zipped on by Storm and just die. He can, like, even if he is there to save someone, that target can still die because of AA Blast. So I think that LGD's lanes are also a little bit stronger with the 4 range plus Drow.
Well, we'll see how they end up being able to play it all as we're heading into the first game of this lower bracket finals. It does look like one member of LGD, Kunkka, is still trying to load into the game. Okay, he's back into it.
These guys are so fast. They're like out of the fountain within like 5 or 6 seconds.
NewBee, they know what they need to do. Chuan sets down that ward rather rapidly, and Kaka is going to maybe be spotted out by this observer ward here. It doesn't look like it. The smoke is not going to spot him, but they're pinging it? Oh my god, really? Do they know?
They can see the Firefly.
Oh, okay, good call. Neato. Well, that's going to be a quick D ward then, I would imagine, as soon as those sentries come out.
Yeah.
Dang, and I guess that sort of harkens back to what you're talking about. Getting out of the fountain early. Might get a free D ward.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And teams are just blowing multiple TPs to ensure that they get in a lane. Like, if you think about it from an economic perspective, like 50 gold is just almost nothing compared to having an observer ward down for the full 7 minutes, being able to block a camp 7 times, and of course provide vision and not feeding the gold that comes with eating observer wards. So it's definitely worth it. Like, a lot of supports are like, man, it's just, I have to buy wards, TP scroll, and smoke, and sentries, and courier. But such is life.
The support life, it's not one that people love, but so it's got to happen. I've also seen this every time NewBee have played. They paint the river purple. That's a little bit of a Moose specialty. Kind of a, I don't know if that's psychological or what exactly it is. He just likes purple, but he's the one that's in the mid lane all the time, so he gets to look at it. Kind of a little way to get under their skin maybe, as Zhao Wei is going to come over here and try and block something, but it doesn't look like he's actually placed any wards. He's just...
Yeah, he plays a sentry.
Okay.
He plays a sentry to block the camp,
Okay.
block the pull camp. So
And all the time, so he gets to look at it.
And we don't see any sentries on the side of NewBee. I don't believe.
Winter
Oh,
Wyvern.
they did Winter Wyvern. Yeah. Well, did they get? So they did get the D ward in the mid. So maybe might struggle a little bit. Xiao 8 in a tiny bit of trouble.
Well, he's going to get right-clicked a little bit and should be able to get to the other side of the river with that Firefly being there. So no big deal there, but still not the best in the world start. Do you envision them sort of sticking around here and just keep on trying to zone out Zhao 8 as much as possible?
That's generally what the supports do, especially if they have eyes on him. They have a reserve ward, so they can easily see if he's stacking, or even in like the Radiant jungle area, so they can play around him very easily. But at the same time, this frees up the mid lane for maybe. It's already a pretty easy matchup for him, I would say. DK versus the Storm Spirit. Breathe Fire doesn't really affect him too much.
I guess that's the thing I was kind of wondering about Kaka's style. I feel like I almost always see him on those like roaming supports, but I guess Winter Wyvern not capable of doing as much. We don't see as many of those bottle snipes with the Arctic Burn nowadays, and I guess maybe still going to have a decent time here with the Kunkka being able to rotate in as well. How do you envision this laning stage going? Like, obviously nothing's going to happen down bottom as they just keep on stacking up camps and such, but is there going to be any sort of movement towards the mid? Is that just going to be the duty of the Kunkka?
I think they prefer to stack, because then Storm Spirit can do stacks very easily. AA needs level 6 and Batrider needs his Blink Dagger, so you still need a decent amount of time to start your fights off if you're LGD. And in the meanwhile, you can have Draw Ranger just right-click towers to kind of threaten NewBee to make some sort of maneuver, either to push themselves or do something economically to push them ahead in the net worth. So I think that LGD has a slightly better early game because they can do a lot more things without putting themselves at risk.
Okay. Well, that's something to keep our eyes on. And I feel like that was something that we saw previously, too, when I think it was another one of the teams dealing with LGD. Aggressive was able to be on a Slark, and then he picked up a Shadow Blade relatively early after he had the free lane. That might have even been games yesterday. And had just a really good time in those early stages, taking down towers and finding fights.
That was a nice pull by MMY. He did the troll pull without eating the tree. Like, he pulled it to the south side. I think that only works if it's a troll camp. Otherwise, you can't aggro it because it's a melee. But that's not easy as a support.
Good stuff.
Good stuff indeed.
Well, meanwhile, as we're taking a look at each of these lanes and how they're working out, Beastmaster in the jungle has a pretty free one indeed since he's over there and just continuing to hit away onto those creeps. Level 6 is probably going to come around that 5-ish minute mark to roam in and find a kill. Do you think he can take down maybe in the mid lane? Is that a relatively easy rotation for him?
You need at least one more support. Probably 2, I would say, because he's going to be 6, I think, before the Storm Spirit 6, and if anyone's sitting behind him, it's going to be a disaster. But because, even though NewBee's jungling, they're not really coming out that far ahead in XP because the supports have been fairly preoccupied with Xiaowei. This is the constant debate, like whether or not you should Iron Talon, and Xiaowei is keeping the supports low at the cost of his own experience and buffing up his support. So you're trading off your support, your own XP as an offlaner for your supports, which I think is good in this matchup because AA can get level 6 and Batrider is level 6 is not that important. It's more important that he has a Blink Dagger at a decent timing.
Okay.
And they have a lot of stacks. Like, this large camp is fairly large. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to stack the one to the left of the Ancients too much, but it's okay for them. And mid lane, ooh.
Oh, misses the Torrent, but they do get the X. Gonna pull him back in a second. He does end up getting an item in, but I don't know if it's gonna save him. Well, a good Earth Spike keeping Moo alive, and with that rotation from Chuan, they don't find it. If that Torrent would have hit, that probably would have been a kill.
Yep, that was not really good positioning by LGD. 2 of them got stunned. I think if maybe had skirted a little bit to the right, he would have had to tank the tower, I think, 1 or 2 hits, but he would have been able to get another Remnant plus Overload, which would have been really close to killing the DK. But that's not a big deal for them, but they are going to have to deal with the Beastmaster level 6. He is almost level 6, just needs 1 or 2 more creeps, and he has a smoke already, and Tranquil, so he doesn't even need to go back to the fountain to make this move happen, maybe.
Yeah, just gonna go down there in the mid lane, and as soon as those supports leave, he's just open season. That was really cool there by NewBee. They bring in Chuan as well as Kaka and hit him with the Splinter Blast just a little bit out of position.
Yeah, they were expecting that he'd be okay because he's very close to level 6, but as a byproduct of the supports not getting the kill and sitting there and leeching a little bit of XP, he is not 6 at the time. They might actually be able to kill him again. KP he dropped his Trank, so he can be back in that middle lane ASAP. They don't have enough mana for a double combo from Lion unless he pops his Clarity right now. Let's see if they make that smoke maneuver right now, and they don't have eyes on Storm Spear yet, but it looks like they are anticipating him going mid and just trying to punish. Oh, maybe it's going to be Xiao 8. They can't do the stacks, I think. It's not going to be that easy.
Oh, the Hawk. Those smoked up. That's pretty cool too. Going to be able to get pretty good vision onto him. They see that he's pulling the camp back, and it looks like that's going to be the rotation they want, possibly even going for the tier 1 tower. And yeah, this is going to be a nice little wraparound here. Are we going to have any rotations out? It looks like everybody from the side of LGD is off on the other side of the map, and that's going to be another kill. And with Metamorphosis has popped, as well as Dragonite Ultimate, this tower is going to drop very quickly.
I think they might steal that stack if they get that tower, which is going to be devastating for LGD. I thought that might have been like an appropriate time to scan, or like maybe didn't go mid because he was anticipating like a gank from that north side around where those ancients were. So it's going to be devastating for LGD. I thought that might have been like an appropriate time to scan, or but they didn't want to use a scan there, and I think that both of those heroes should have backed out because it was very likely that they were in that area. At least maybe sensed it. And now they're going to go for that stack. I don't know if they had the AoE to do it. They do have a couple of Breathe Fires from Dragon Knight, but there are a fair amount of Centaurs.
Oh, and I like this play. They're keeping the Winter Wyvern.
They're going to go for that stack. I don't know if they had the AoE to do it. They do have a couple of Breathe Fires from Dragon Knight, but there are a fair amount of Centaurs.
Oh, and I like this play. They're keeping the Winter Wyvern.
Farm those two camps, and it's not that big a deal. And looks like they're setting up for that with a Hawk and Observers. KP is ready to backstab mid.
Oh, and Moo is there. They try and go forward. A little bit of an awkward of this area of the map. There's only no ancient stacks on the Radiant side. Of this area of the map, there's only
Bat Rider already, and then you lose your tower, you die, and then you get your stack stolen. Like that's a very like heroes. No one even wasted a TP to try and save the Bat Rider, and they just it's like alternatively they could have like all TP'd in to try and save him, but they weren't really in position. Heroes. No one even wasted a TP to try and save the Bat Rider, and they just it's like alternatively they could have like all TP'd in to try and save him, but they weren't really in position. Heroes. No one even wasted a TP to try and save the Bat
bottom lane, and if there is going to be a fight over there, there's not going to be that easy replenishments of forces coming in from the LGD side, but they might end up losing the tier 1 in the mid lane, as maybe Aggressive in September are here. Can they
Aggressive doesn't have his lance yet, so it's actually not that easy.
Up to that 260 magical damage, and one more, it's going to be one shot in range creeps. It's a pretty good spot right now, and a decent spot right now, and a decent Drow Ranger strategy. Now, I feel like we've been seeing Drow Ranger strategies that spot right now, and
Drow wants to go. I'm not sure if she might go for the Maelstrom build again. Like the Maelstrom Axe is also pretty good versus Terrorblade and another he might pick it up after the lance, so we'll see about that. So pretty good versus Terrorblade, because you might get focused down. So pretty good versus Terrorblade and another he might pick it up after the lance, so we'll see about that. Because you might get focused down.
that is not what you would expect. I guess just really good map awareness on both of these teams, realizing what's going on, and they even throw out that scan, so that also might be known by NewBee that they would be able to place a ward there. So just really good. I feel like this is sort of a chess match that we're watching. I guess just really good map awareness on both of these teams, realizing what's going on, and they even throw out that scan. So
Maneuver top or a smoke maneuver into the Dire Ancients. But
so that also might be known by NewBee that they would be able to place a ward there. So just really good. They turn it back around with the Winter's Curse, thrown onto Zhao Wei, just keeping him in place for a moment. Kunkka ends up taking down that line a second ago. Beastmaster kills off the Bat Rider, and now looking for September, they're not going to be able to quite keep up with them. The X-Torrent combo kept Mu controlled, and it looks like with this, LGD are going to finish off and just try and back out of here. Can they actually bring down MMY?
don't think so. They're gonna have to get a boar slow, but it's not gonna be easy.
Torrent, oh, nicely played.
Yeah, the NewBee's cooldowns are like way longer with Meta and Winter's Curse and like Necros, or as LGD they have much shorter cooldowns. Like Storm Spirit doesn't really have a cooldown on his ultimate. AA revolves around a 40-second cooldowns, and so with Kunkka. So like LGD can fight like again right now.
That was so well played.
Aggressive doesn't get caught out.
NewBee recognizing that they were going to come up to the top lane. Mu hid in the trees, and Chuan also did the same thing. They both TP'd up top there, realizing that's where aggressive was going to be.
That was sick.
Oh my god.
That's a really important kill. It just slows down everything so much. And they can push out all three of the lanes, and this might even like open up Roche for them if they win one more fight. Oh, some really nice anticipation by NewBee right there.
And now we got Terrorblade. How he's building towards that BKB, just wants to be able to fight that much more quickly. And then I guess that this is sort of another one of those things where if they can stop September from getting those initiations off, it really limits what that hero is capable of doing. I mean, they still do get the rum buff, but it has felt like that's been that constant engine keeping this LGD draft going.
They can still get picks with Bat Rider. Like I think if they once they see the BKBs come out, they can just try and divide the map up by using Storm plus AA or Bat Rider plus AA and going for picks. And NeeBee will likely get Roshan if that happens because LGD might not want to fight them, but they can still play around mass BKBs. And even if Kunkka isn't terribly useful against it, he can still run his teammates and help the Drow. So Drow will go for the Maelstrom after, so they are prepared for late game.
And it looks like they're also pinging out that this movement in towards the Roche pit by NewBee, they are going to realize that this is going on, and with the scan back there, it should signal to them that this is happening. Do you think that LGD can come and contest this, or maybe just throw out a couple of ice blasts and stare at them? What's the reason?
Throw an ice blast and slow them down, but Drow Ranger doesn't really want to fight in that sort of area. I think it's like pretty risky. They don't have any vision around the area. Dyer has 2 observer wards. They got scanned out. This could be a disaster.
Oh, September, he gets caught right at the start of the Winter's Curse. The Roar follow-up. September is going to fall. They don't have any extra control for maybe. Zhao Wei, I don't think they can go back there. They break the Blink Dagger as well with that illusion. And Roshan is going to fall. BKB online for Terrorblade. NewBee take a pretty decisive win there.
And now it's a split push game, I would say, from LGD after that. And like NewBee can push pretty fast though, so LGD has to be like pretty careful about how fast they push out the lanes. And Chuan doesn't have a Hex yet, so maybe he still has a decent amount of time to free reign on the map. Dragon Knight doesn't have Shadow Blade or Blink Dagger, so he can kind of play around those, especially now that it's daytime.
And I guess that also in the context of this type of a draft coming out from LGD, you want to be able to keep that pressure on, and the fact that they're forced back to that split pushing game, even though it was just the one kill, the Roshan becomes so much more important. So pretty cool stuff. I mean, I'm looking also at KP right here. He is pretty darn farmed with this Necrobook level 3. Is that enough with him and Chuan to just be able to like find a kill on the Storm Spirit if he gets out of position?
They just need Blink on Lion, which is coming out right now. KP's letting Chuan get all the last hits. So once they get the Blink Dagger, they can stop the split push. So NewBee know that LGD are going to split push, so they're prepping up against it at the moment. I think because they went mass BKBs, though, you don't want to fight in that, and their farm is going to suffer as a result if they don't win any team fights. So LGD don't want to give them that opening. They're still possessing a slight net worth lead, despite losing a couple of objectives and being behind in kills. So they can keep up this net worth. Drow Ranger is going to have her Ags very quickly, so it's still going to be an issue once they fight with BKBs, but she is going to probably propel herself ahead of the Terrorblade at this point.
Okay. Well, and I'm looking at this also. The game is going on, and you got that Blink Dagger you're talking about on Chuan. It is going to be brought out to him right now. There is still the Ancient Apparition to be a little bit concerned about, and he's got his Force Staff now on top of a Hand of Midas. He's pretty happy. Is it just straight Ags after this for him?
I don't know what else you get aside from Mags.
Okay.
Glimmer is not very useful. Lotus would actually be very useful for the Storm, though.
Oh, yeah.
So Lotus, I think, is a very worthy consideration. I would probably pick it up on the Kunkka or the Bat Rider, though. But it looks like Kunkka's going for the mech, and I'm not sure what Bat Rider's going for. Probably BKB.
Oh, what a hex. Forward, Chuan catches out Zhao Wei. That's a pretty big boat, as well as the A blast. This might be enough to turn him back around. That is 2 BKBs already popped for NewBee. They're going to end up right-clicking this tower, and aggressive, just trying to keep them at bay. Ag's not online, and this timing from NewBee is a little bit stronger. The jump forward, oh, but they get the hex. It's going to end up being able to catch him. Force Staff back, and maybe so low, just trying desperately to escape. Really, really good there, and How is not quite going to drop. They do have the Torrent that's going to lift him up in the air, but is still fine for the moment. Aegis about to expire. Oh, good Sunder. So the Winter Wyvern takes the damage, and How just backs up. Aegis not expired there.
Jeez, I thought Storm Spirit was going to get murdered there. So just a T3 with the Aegis and the BKB pickups. That's actually surprising. That's like the most worry timing for LGD, like when you need to wait for their BKBs to be off cooldown and they have the Aegis and they're pushing high ground and you don't have your big items yet. No Orchid yet on a Storm, so he can't just instant kill the Winter Wyvern or the Lion, and no Ags yet on the Drow Ranger. That was very difficult to hold.
I'm kind of wondering. I'm a little surprised that maybe went back for this Orchid. I guess
you need it, I think, to kill Lion. It's also pretty good versus Terrorblade. He doesn't have Manta, so outside of BKB, he can't really get away from the Storm Spirit.
And I guess it sort of speaks to the way that LGD see this draft. I was thinking that like Lincoln's to try and stay alive against all of that single target. Okay.
Like that's Mana Burn from Necrobook, Mana Drain from Lion, Splinter Blast from Winter Wyvern. Like all these spells are pretty short cast point. Winter Wyvern didn't have his Force Staff, so he could just Force Staff and curse the Storm Spirit if they wanted to. I think they're going to have to rely on a Lotus Orb later, or a BKB on him.
Or they could just kill off Chuan. They don't actually catch him, and actually a ton of damage getting thrown out. Chuan is going to get healed up, but not quite enough, as maybe is controlled, not killed off. That's already Chuan dead. I don't know why they didn't pull him back. That was very odd. I guess.
Didn't he get stunned? I'm not sure.
It looked like what happened was Zhao Wei went for the lasso, but then didn't cast it, and maybe he was just canceling his blink so they could find the kill afterwards. But it was a very odd initiation. MMY is still going to get ran down here. They do have the rest of the side of LGD.
He has Force, so he can just Force TP. And drop. I'm surprised he's not like dropping Vortexes as he runs.
This is really weird. Zhao Wei and Aggressive are also up in this area, and they're all going to try and head out. So nobody is going to get caught and killed, it looks like. And Ag's completed. I guess just a little bit of more space created. And Aegis now expires.
Delay.
Oh, good stuff. Alright, well, Chuan had a pretty decent game so far. He has died 3 times for his team, and you take a look at the difference in terms of team net worth. It's sort of bobbing back and forth between this 2K mark. Neither team really taking a significant advantage. But Zhao 8 walking forward? Okay. He's going to run off this direction. Okay.
Just being super annoying, and like if they do this enough times, NewBee might get drawn away from the Roche pit. So it's a lot of small things to add up to the opponent splitting up. You know, Batrider just being cheeky here and there, Storm Spirit pushing out a wave that he shouldn't be, Drow Ranger showing herself on the map.
Oh, but that is going to be a roar onto September. Mu is jumped upon as well. Maybe is there, and they throw out the Winter's Curse for the moment. Zhao Wei pulls back Mu into the boat. This should not end up actually doing anything. BKBs were already popped. Maybe still stunned. Can they find the kill, though? He's just going to be able to zip away. Beastmaster beats down the Kunkka, and that is going to end up being a suicide. So they end up overextending ever so slightly by LGD. They're going to keep trying to chase down Zhao Wei, but it's a little bit of a difficult one. If Chuan can get another blink in a second, he might be able to find the kill, but there's going to be a blink in Force for Zhao Wei as well. So no chance. But how? Pops Metamorphosis a second ago, and alright, they're just going to back.
Yeah, that was really nice by NewBee. They anticipated that they were like NewBee or that LGD were like going to group up and try and pick them off at that point. Usually when you see a Batrider play like that, you assume that he's alone because he played like he was alone. He like blinked away, got a Firefly and cut the creep wave and just ran away, and then he just waited there. He didn't have his Firefly out when he went back in for the lasso, but he brought in all his teammates there to, like, you know, if one hero's there, they'll bring in like 2 or 3 to try and pick him off, so the other team will bring their whole entire team to pick off those 2 or 3. And NewBee were one step ahead of that, and we're like, okay, well, we're not going to bring 2 or 3, we're going to bring our whole team here. That was cool.
Pretty good stuff. Recognition. It's just, again, it feels sort of like a chess match at this point. They're just back and forth and trying to trade off objectives. It's worth noting there's still 2 tier 2 towers for LGD, only 1 left on NewBee, but they did take the tier 3, obviously. As far as NewBee are concerned, it's all just about this Roshan at this point, I guess for LGD as well. I
think they could Roshan and breach high ground. Storm Spirit doesn't have enough charges to be like a severe nuisance in the fights. But I don't know. Aggressive is going to hit pretty hard. They just need to do a lot of damage from BKBs, and luckily that window is a little bit larger than LGD would like because that T3 is already down. So they can just like they can just BKB and focus on the Rex if LGD don't want to fight them there.
It's pretty impressive too that you got this Winter Wyvern that can keep these lanes pushed out across the board, and trying to at least. Ended up heading out afterwards, but it's a bit of a scary state of affairs since there's that Storm Spirit who can always jump on top of you. Do you think we end up seeing going back for a Glimmer Cape now to try and keep Kaka alive, or maybe just something else here, a Blink Dagger possibly?
We see some Winter Wyvern trying to get a refresher, but I think Blinka is probably a little bit better for him. Blink and then into maybe a refresher later, because it seems like this game is going to go pretty late with the builds, and if NewBee don't get a Rex very soon, then I think it's going to go pretty late.
Okay. And speaking of which, they keep on sending down these illusions as well as the most terrifying boars in the world. The Beastmaster set that they've got right there. This does feel like it's going to be a constant issue, and still a lot of room to grow on these heroes. Storm Spirit finished off his Orchid also. What's the kill priority for him? Does he just jump on the Wyvern every time, or Lion?
Ideally, you like jump on one and kill them in a vortex, and then you silence the other, and then kill them afterwards. that's not that easy to pull off. But if you get an AA ult on your primary target, then you can. They have a Shadow Blade now on Dragon Knight, so they're really building up more and more defend against the split push items.
And you can see that they're smoked up, moving out as 4, and we're trying to see if they could find anybody, but nobody's showing. Storm Spirit's still off to the side there, and it's going to be left to his own devices as he cuts the creep wave. I mean, think about yesterday and the way that we saw maybe play that Invoker. It's pretty cool to be able to see some of these other late-game heroes for him that's just kind of making space around the map and doing all the little things that his team needs.
Up. And they do have a gem up. That's what MMY invested his gold in, and did not get the scepter. Roshan is up. NewBee are in a decent position to take it, but probably just want to take out this T2 first. LGD are actually going to contest this at the T2. This, I think, is a little bit unexpected because of the way that LGD have been playing for like the last 10 minutes, which is just dodge, but seems like this is going to be the time for them with the new BKB on the Drow Ranger. They could even sneak Roche, possibly.
That is a bold move.
That is a bold move, but they've done bolder things.
All right, Dragon Knight, maybe a little bit of awareness that this is happening. They did have an Observer Ward over here, but
there's some next level stuff right here.
Do they ping this out? Like, do they realize it? If this is just gonna go down.
They
My God!
For the wraparound. Dude, they are next leveling them so hard right now.
LGD, come in, take Roshan. The pings are coming out now. They realize something might be afoot, and Roshan goes down. NewBee. It looks like they want to take this fight at this point. If they can get a good initiation with Moo, there is a Sentry Ward that's over here, so they might have spotted him out. But it looks like they're just going to go straight for high ground.
Well, if NewBee are going to head and stay in that area and not actually push out the wave, then yeah, why not? And might as well just knock on their door. That comes back to the decision for NewBee to take down that T2 before taking down the Roche. If they just headed the Roche pit, LG might have been able to contest, but they certainly wouldn't have given LGD just a free Aegis right there. That was, there's a lot of things that could have been done to prevent that. First, a Terrorblade illusion inside the pit, Beastmaster illusion around the pit, a scan to confirm that they weren't actually in that area. Actually, they didn't have scan up, but like if you expect a smoke from the side and you scan and they're not there, then you know that they're doing something else. But it took them a little bit too long to realize it. But it's a very unexpected play from LGD. I actually thought they were going to smoke around and go for that fight, but they're really next level NewBee right there.
Jeez, really good stuff to see that. And I mean, I think even you look at the Sentry Ward placements over here in the jungle, I think that they realized that the DK has that Shadow Blade as well. They must have scattered out at some point because they were completely covered for it. But KP is going to end up going for the split push game right now. One TP is going to go back, seeing if they can stop him, but that's going to end up being a jump, and they have been able to find maybe now. Okay, the X back. Wow, that was really good. So he's still with them.
They don't have a TP back on Storm, though. They can just take down this tower, and the only person that can TP back is Drow Ranger. They might have to give her a TP scroll, but she doesn't have her TP because LGD's...
Okay, maybe gets jump onto Chuan. He has a Glimmer Cape to keep him alive for the moment. They were starting to bring down Zhao 8. Not quite dead as of yet. How is still hitting this whole time. The tier 3 and the Zerax are going down in the bottom lane. Kaka, very low, but not dead as of yet. Zhao 8 has turned on to aggressive. They're doing a decent chunk of damage, but they have to buy back on that Terrorblade. 2 already down. How turns up, is going to right-click aggressive. The boat, the roam buff is there, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. And now the Dragon Tail, September falling. Maybe is still here and very healthy, but out of mana, and now he's going to end up falling also. Maybe controlled, right-clicked, mana drain, everything, he's dead. Aegis, he might be able to get out of here, but it's a question of how quick those fingers are. They get the stun, there's the catch, and maybe's dead. Oh, man.
What a disaster. It's still got Terrorblade by my back, but that was like the biggest mistake right there was Drow Ranger not having a TP scroll. She got her TP passed to her by the Batrider, but Batrider had TP somewhere else, so it was still on cooldown. And then they wanted to like X the Drow Ranger, TP back, defend the push, and then fight as 5. But NewBee got a free Rax because of that. It's not free, but they still got a Rax out of that, and definitely came out on top of that trade.
And I mean, Aegis gone as well. Like, that was the avenue, I felt like, for LGD to break high ground, and now that's just gone. It's taken a pretty severe drop in terms of net worth. Experience still into the favor of LGD, but the items that are coming up and online, you've got a Refresher Orb almost completed on Beastmaster. I mean, that is terrifying.
Yeah, I think they need Lotuses at this point. Like, just DK stun is on too short of a cooldown for the Storm Spirit to deal with. If he gets a BKB, he's probably not going to be able to kill these high armor heroes. I guess maybe they can just rely on the damage from AA, but like they're really lacking in the damage area right now.
Oh man, and again, it's feeling right here like the momentum very heavily favoring NewBee after that one exchange. The map control still, they've got good vision-ish. Now the vision coming out from NewBee is just so much superior with that Beastmaster Hawk.
I think they lost a gem that fight too. I saw it pinged on the ground.
Let's see, they have one on Chuan. He had that one previously, and it does look like they don't have another one. Maybe it's stuck
Maybe it
somewhere
was Lion's gem that fell on the ground then, so maybe they didn't lose it.
Maybe has one. Well, an interesting start and turn of events. NewBee taking a bit of an advantage. As far as the dynamic of how LGD want to play this game, how much does that Rax down hurt them? Is it sort of the split pushing strategy pretty crippled by that?
It definitely hurts.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say crippled. They can still split push, but it's just one extra thing that they have to deal with. And NewBee is, as you mentioned, like KP having him as his refresher is going to be very troublesome for the Drow Ranger, especially with her BKB pickup. She has no butterfly, so she's still quite vulnerable to Terrorblade focusing her down, as well as Dragonite at this point too.
And I mean, I'm looking, they have been able to deward pretty much all of the map at this point on the side of NewBee, so that extra little bit of vision advantage that they already have inherently with the Beastmaster is going to be doubled down upon, and looks like they want to try and take down this tier 2 tower. All of them are in the area, but the X marks the spot with aggressive, a couple quick hits, and that's going to be almost an entirely dead creep wave. So the Aghanim's showing its power there.
It's annoying.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff. I like to see that from time to time. I guess that the thing they could end up going for at a certain point would be like a Yule Scepter to break the X, but that still feels a little ways off.
Yeah, I think just Siege with Aegis cheese, and they definitely do not want to let it slip out of their hands like that. I think they can easily fight 5-on-5 inside the pit, even with a Bat Rider and Storm Spirit in the game. Just BKB, pop your ultis, pop meta, and as long as you're like Lion and Winter Wyvern don't die at the start, and Beastmaster gets his roars off, which he probably should because he's not getting focused in any of these fights, then they'll be okay. So I think LGD had to do something quick in the next 2 minutes. This is like their window to make something big happen.
We'll see what they're thinking about going for. It's a bit of a rough state of affairs at this point. They have the Mjolnir completed on Drow, so an extra bit of attack speed. The shell on the Storm Spirit, I'm assuming. It's feeling like this is the avenue for them to go back into it. But by the same token, you've also got this Terrorblade. You just finished off the Scotty. BKB online, it's only 8 seconds, but still.
He has too much armor. He has 25 armor and BKB. There's just like very little chance that they're going to be able to kill him in the BKB. So the Mjolnir pickup is cool, but it's only good if they can outlast the BKBs, which she did not last time. She was not able to.
That scan revealed LGD was over on this cliff right here as well, so not going to move in. Well, it looks like they're actually going to try and go for an initiation with Moo. Do they have another smoke there, or they're just going to be walking in? I guess they know that they don't have vision in that area, although they did just place down an Observer Ward and a Sentry Ward, so no such luck. It looks like that's just going to be a D ward and probably NewBee going back afterwards. Waiting for Roshan.
Neither team wants to leave the pit. With a cheese on Storm, they can take a big fight, and it's maybe even slightly more powerful than the Aegis.
I'm still waiting. I feel like sometimes this is the reason why a top lane of Rax can be more valuable than that bottom lane, because it sort of pulls the enemy team towards their base, and then they have to come and respond to it. But
it's very rarely a conscious decision. Yeah. It's like with the lane's pushed out, we go to this lane. It's not a, well, let's set out to push top lane in 5 minutes. That can happen, but it's usually more on the fly.
Okay. Well, like we were talking about, KP Refresher Orb. They can also, if they want to, throw out 2 wild axes. Good stuff.
Dire knows Roche is up.
Oh, all right. Can they just hop in and take that one, or is that something where they've got to find a pick off first?
I think they need to push out their lanes first. Like top lanes pushed in very deep, and Hao is trying to push up bottom lane. It looks like this one illusion is going to be able to upset that equilibrium as well as the Rax advantage down there. So top lane, check. Bottom lane, check. Middle lane, there's a Bora assisting there. So all 3 lanes are going to be pushed up for them, and now's the time for them to do Roche. They still have to be like a little bit careful. They can't get like 4-man AA blast and Storm kill both supports. But just pop your BKBs, focus on the Drow Ranger or the Storm with a Roar.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this too. Kaka so farmed. He has his Blink Dagger coming out to him, and it looks like LGD actually want to take the fight to them. If they could catch them before they're all set up for this, this would be pretty huge, but...
Oh, Chuan is slightly out of position.
Oh, God, if they can get him. Oh, nice blink away. Maybe is also going to get spotted, and they have already thrown it out. So aggressive with the BKB pop is going to take a lot of damage. First roar coming out. They are going to be able to do a ton of damage to him. How is just hitting away in the midst of all of this, standing tall. Triple kill for him. MMY also going to be brought down. The only one away is NeeBee. What a disaster. Oh.
Yeah, what a winner's curse right there. And BKB, like... You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't, you just get hexed and impaled and dragon tailed. But if you do, you get Winter's Curse and roared. So it's... The BKB Wars was a foregone conclusion for LGD, but they almost got the jump on Chuan. That was really close.
Well, Chuan, the sort of key there... It's a rough life right now, but it looks like they're not even afraid of all these buybacks at this point. You look at it, the Drow Ranger doesn't have one really. They're going to jump in and maybe just trying to escape before he ends up getting caught out. There's going to be the X combo, but Moo already with the tier 3 tower down. He is out of his ultimate, so they force Saf him away, and it looks like with 2 tier 3s, they're going to go and secure Roshan.
Yeah, with Drow down for 17 seconds, unless you sell something and buy his BOTs, there's no way that they should be able to like contest that. And like even if like they didn't kill a Drow Ranger in the fight, like just CCing her and running next to her to get rid of that 180 agility, then that's already pretty decent for that fight. Like Bat Rider, Kunkka, AA, these heroes are only offering like slight defensive capabilities during the BKBs from the heavy damage dealing NewBee course.
It's so rough right now, too, just to be a Storm Spirit, honestly. He's got 6 Bloodstone charges, the BKB. His mana regeneration is not that great for him, and God, it's just been such a hard game for them to deal with this.
Yeah, 4 of the 5 heroes can lock him down for a long duration.
When I'm thinking about the whole way that they wanted to play this, and it feels like Beastmaster was such a great pick for them at the end there, because Xiaowei just has not been able to have that vision. I guess the gems help with that and shutting down the wards, but the sort of double down with them being able to find that initiation onto LGD, it's felt like that's been one of those defining factors in this game, where it's always been them finding the pick as opposed to Batrider pulling somebody out. It's
also the support on NeeBee, like playing very safely and defensively. You mentioned that Chuan died 3 times, but he hasn't died since, and Kaka's only died 1 time this entire game, which is very impressive as a Winter Wyvern because he hasn't had Blink for that long. So like the supports on NeeBee have been sticking behind their cores. They've been following up and getting their spells off without dying. So that's like super key for NewBee.
And it's not like they've been not hitting those either. Like Winter's Curses have been turning the tides of these fights, so it's not like they're just hiding off somewhere else. They're doing things.
Yeah, they are doing things.
They are doing things indeed. That's my high-level analysis right there, guys.
So LGD have 1 more fight left in them. They lose this next fight, it's game over.
All right, well, we'll see if they can make something happen. 3,300 gold on the Storm. At this point, do you just sort of buy out with everything and throw whatever you got at them?
I think so. There's like not really a good reason to hold on to your gold at the moment. A buyback from Drow Ranger isn't going to do anything, especially a buyback from Storm probably will.
Okay.
But none of them have BOTs, so taking a fight this far away from any sort of your structures is a one and done type of thing. But they can't give up Roche.
No. Well, super safe gameplay coming out from NewBee. They're not even all committing to the Roche right now. They're just sitting around it, making sure they've got eyes in the area, and continuing to farm on Hao, who, by the way, is 2,300 net worth on him and just finished that Talisman of Evasion. So he is not going to be easy to bring down. Butterfly soon to be online. I guess the Mjolnir is still okay in that instance because you got that magical damage shooting around, but
yeah. You have to be careful about a Drow first pick. We've seen teams just purely itemize armor. I remember in particular like a Cloud9 draft, and they were against like a Bristleback and Axe, who just built like Crimson Guard, Vlad's AC, like Blade Mail, all these armor items, and it's just very difficult to deal with that if you don't have like a Dazzle, like you mentioned in the draft, or an Elder Titan to burst through the natural armor from the Terror Blade. Like you're relying a lot on your physical damage.
Trying to get the jump, but Xiao 8 immediately roared, and a Winter's Curse on top of September. Oh, pretty nice there, coming out from aggressive. They got the Gust, and September is still going to fall, though, and now NewBee, another roar onto aggressive's head. How is just on a triple kill, wicked 6 streak, and they end up sundering as well to keep Moo alive. MMY not going to be able to get taken down in the end, but it's just
pretty much GG here.
I mean,
the Beastmaster has been just owning them in the fights. As you mentioned, Xiao, he can't get a jump, he gets roared, he Ghost Scepter, refresh Ghost Scepter to kite him for 8 seconds, and then, like, that's the entirety of the BKB duration on the Drow Ranger, that she just cannot focus down the Beastmaster. Maybe some Mjolnir procs here and there, but she can't prevent him from getting his roar off. So, overall, though, I think, like, what was really key for NewBee this game was their opener. Like, the Terror Blade plus Winter Wyvern was just incredibly good versus the Drow first pick. And LGD, they were probably like, oh crap, we got to switch away from this, like, towards the tail end of the draft. But that opener was just so solid against what LGD had that they try to change gears, but the basic premise of the strat is do physical damage with Drow.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing too that I feel like when we've been seeing Chinese Dota, there's been a couple of teams that have been running this consistently, and it tends to be like a Drow IO opening or one of those that's available, so you can kind of pull them back. But NewBee having enough time playing against it, they've come up with a pretty good answer. And now with one lane of barracks brought down early, both of the tier 3 towers taken down, this should be a pretty quick siege here. Also a DD rune on Dragon Knight. I mean, how much more lucky can you get? They just got everything that they need. I guess it would have been pretty good on Terrorblade too, but I mean, he's sitting a ton of armor also.
I think the thing about NewBee's draft too is that they have a lot of disable for the Storm Spirit. They have a lot of armor, and more importantly, they can take team fights and split push. So, like in the early game, they were like trading towers, which if you are letting Drow push, you should try and take some towers of your own with that initial like kill Xiao Wei T1 in a like neutral maneuver, and then they like went in a Roche. They were like almost always willing to 5-man LGD. So that's one thing that I really liked about NewBee's draft. Not only like the mass armor and physical protection, but also the team fight potential and the willingness to take team fights.
Well, a quick Shadow Blade forward. Moo might be able to find maybe. Oh god, and there's the stun, and looking for a blink forward. KP gets the roar. He's not going to be able to do anything. Winter's Curse. Oh, a little bit of a miscoordination there, but maybe it's still going to be controlled and brought down. Aggressive trying to turn on to How. It's not nearly enough damage as they're going to just turn onto those barracks. NewBee, in demonstrative and dominant fashion, take game number 1 against LGD. Not a whole lot else to say about it.
Yeah, they got to rethink their opener. When the Elder Titans banned out, they need a better solution if they come out with a Terrorblade pick. I think like Terrorblade's been even a little bit harder than a Drow Ranger recently in terms of tier of picks. So that was, I'm very impressed by NewBee in this game.
Well, we'll see if they're going to be able to replicate that type of success in game number 2, or if LGD are going to bring it back again. Winner moves on to face off against the Wings Gaming in the Grand Finals Best of 5. So stick around, everybody. More great Dota 2 from Nanyang in just a bit.
微晶电视，非凡质感，内置 HiFi 音响，海量优质内容，智能语音控制，年轻人电视新选择，微晶为新一代生而不同。
the S switch to quickly access the setting and switch between save modes.